I want to thank the folks who are fighting the wildfires in northwestern Manitoba. It's a very stark, serious situation. We had the opportunity to fly above both fires, and the larger of the two is significant. Even during the time that we were in the air, you saw it get that much more serious, more smoke, and of course tons of flames and trees, decades old, completely engulfed in flames. So a major response underway. I want to thank all of the folks fighting these fires and the coordinated effort coming out of the Office of the Fire Commissioner and the Wildfire Service. We also have local fire departments from the PAW, Flin Flon, out of Thompson. While we were on the ground, we also welcomed firefighters from Ontario. We thank them for coming to our province. We know that others will be on the way from Quebec soon. So there is a huge operation, which also includes paramedics, law enforcement, Manitoba Hydro, to at once fight the flames, but also to stand services back up in affected communities. Over the course of the day, we also visited Flin Flon. It's a very serious situation there where they've welcomed in evacuees. One of the challenges that they're dealing with in Flin Flon is that they don't have cell service or reliable internet service. And so the great people there are doing things pen to paper, door to door, driving in vehicles from one location to the other to make sure that people get what they need. Similarly, in the PAW, we saw dozens and dozens of people as part of a coordinated response. Local municipalities, the PAW, Kelsey, but also the Manitoba Métis Federation, provincial officials, all working together to try and make sure that Manitobans get what they need during this difficult time. So the response on behalf of every level is significant, and we just want to reiterate that for those Manitobans who are displaced right now, we are going to ensure that you get the services that you need, you get the support that's coming to you, and of course through this difficult moment we'll get through it the way Manitobans always do, by working together.
There's no word yet on how long the evacuation will last. What is the government doing to ensure that people are not too much out of pocket when it comes to food, shelter, and that sort of thing?
Yeah, it's a major concern. You have folks who've been asked to leave, in some cases with 20 minutes notice, and trying to make arrangements for being out of your home for potentially weeks, and that amount of time is a challenge. Then you add onto that folks living on fixed income, seniors on pensions, folks who might be on what we call employment and income assistance. And so we are moderating our response to ensure that people are going to get the support that they need. In a response like this, the challenge is always about trying to make sure that people don't fall through the cracks. And in the PAW in particular, where there were tons of people who came south from Cranberry Portage, we heard a lot about folks who need that extra bit of assistance. Of course, the situation in Flin Flon, no less serious, because again, they're welcoming evacuees, but they don't have cell service right now to be able to coordinate the effort. So while we were on the ground, we didn't have cell service either. Once we did get back into cell service, we're able to start coordinating with provincial officials, and within the hour we were able to stand up additional layers of response. So that's going to be a continued effort, because right now we're at that 72-hour point, give or take, of course, where people have been in hotels. Some folks may be asked to move to Dauphin, further south, Brandon, Winnipeg, other locations. And again, just ensuring that folks get the support that they need during this difficult period of time. To me, it comes down to this. Folks are stressed out. It's been a very trying, difficult experience. We're going to just try and make it that much easier for folks who've been through so much already.
Can you give us some details? I know it's early and the situation's rapidly evolving, but can you give us some details to what the province is doing exactly to make sure people are not too much out of pocket for food and shelter and that sort of thing?
Well, the supports that people need are around housing, shelter. A lot of folks are staying in hotels. Some people have sourced their own accommodations. But again, to be very clear, if you need a place to stay, that will be provided for you. Food will be provided for you. We saw in the PAW, again, a very big gathering place at the reception center where people are coming together to access emergency social supports, healthcare supports, be tied into whatever service that they need. And so we're going to be there to ensure that that response is coordinated, properly resourced. And then, of course, people are wondering about a potentially longer stay away from home. We're going to ensure that the provisions for food and shelter are in place there. And also, again, looking ahead, hopefully, when people can return home, that there'll be some help on that side too.
What are you hearing from residents? How are they doing emotionally?
Well, you have the whole range of emotions. You have some folks who are sitting there with a smile on their face, despite the fact that they've been forced to leave their homes under threat of those very, very real wildfire dangers that we all seen, but they're sitting there with a smile on their face, joking around with friends and relatives. You have other folks who are frustrated, understandably so. They're feeling that this situation is, really, really trying. And then you have other folks who are sad. We saw tears today as well too, from folks who are very upset. So the thing that I really took out of it, though, is the human impact. Whether folks are responding with tears or with, just kind of laughing and saying, what else can you do, sort of thing. I do think that everyone in the region has been through a lot, including the first responders, the wildfire fighters who've been going pretty much all out over the weekend.
With a wildfire of this magnitude, these fires that are already this much out of control, what is your concern for the upcoming wildfire season?
Well, I think the thing that really jumps out at me is that this is early in a potential wildfire season. Talking to the experts, like the folks with years of wildfire fighting experience on the ground, I guess their rule of thumb is typically May long weekend. Here we are ahead of that, and we've already had a major blaze, large-scale evacuations, hundreds and hundreds of folks who are registered, and then again the number's probably higher because there are at least some folks who haven't registered formally to access services as evacuees. So again, I think it's important to strike the right balance between taking it serious and not wanting to downplay any sort of risk to the wildfire season. But at the same time, we need to be alert and we need to be prepared for what may potentially be a worst-case scenario in the future. So with that in mind, the fact that the wildfire season has started earlier than is typical, I think that does mean that we're going to have to really lean into ensuring that all the resources are there to fight the fires and that the supports are there for evacuees when they need them. Okay, thanks so much for making the drive. Appreciate it, everybody. Great.